and welcome to episode 2 of Sailing Fair Isle, where we crossed the Bay of Biscay. Well, we made it. Here we are in sunny Portugal, but it did take a bit longer than we planned.
Yes, Storm Miguel popped up out of nowhere. It cut straight across southern Biscay in the line of the ARC fleets and scattered the fleet.
We were lucky enough to make it to northern Spain, where we took cover. Three other boats stayed in France, but 6 were left out in the Bay of Biscay to weather the storm as best they could, and it was pretty scary.
Yes, it's a story. It's a barn door on this, not a rudder. So yes.
Coming up, it all starts so well in Plymouth. We pass our safety check and learn a lot about best practice in sailing. We meet crews from some of the other boats, and we go to the skipper's briefing before setting off from the start line. We know the wind is on the nose, we know it will be cold, and we know it will rain. What we don't know is this. Storm Miguel is on the way, headed straight for us, with 50-knot winds. Well, you mentioned reflective tape or something.
I know we need some reflective tape.
Okay.
We've now got the hood for that. That was on my list.
Okay.
I'm not sure about our throw line, so I'll chat to him about that.
Okay.
They're long nights.
Chris from ARC Portugal has 300,000 sailing miles under his belt.
The throw line is the piece of kit that I've used in an emergency more than anything else.
Yeah.
One of the advantages of signing up for ARC Portugal is you can meet experts like him to check that the safety equipment you have on board is what you need.
To throw it to a person and pull them in. This, you'd struggle to throw it as far as the throw line would go. I would think that probably 2 or 3 boats every year for the ARC in Las Palmas are missing at least one of these because the ropes pulled it out.
The advice is based on practical experience, and it's standard.
The reason that we have a standard is so that people can all prepare to that same standard. So we know that the fleet of boats are setting off all with the same safety equipment, and basically it's a reassurance for the owners to have their boats looked at and their safety equipment looked at. It's not a pass or fail thing. It's we come on board and we make sure that all the equipment that a boat is required to carry is actually on board the boat and where applicable in date.
Reflective tape, they've got the harnesses, the crutch straps and the spray hood.
Chris also gave us some tips on the weather. At this stage it didn't look too bad. As luck would have it, one of the other boats in the fleet had their own meteorologist on board. Peter and his crew were just getting their boat ready when we walked past, so we thought we'd ask what they thought the weather would be like. So what does it look like then for the next 5 days? I mean, that's the important bit for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because about a week ago I was looking at it and thinking, gosh, it couldn't be better. But since then, everything's changed, and it's sort of changed completely the other way around. So instead of the wind pushing us where we want to go, it now looks like every time we're going to turn a corner, it's going to try and push us back to where we've come from. So it might be quite interesting for the first few days. I think sort of after that, it looks as though nature might be a little more on our side than at the beginning. So we'll see anyway, because things change all the time. I think that's what people don't realise, that actually with a forecast, you do a forecast and you have a set of starting conditions, and your forecast goes out 2-3 days, 2-3 weeks or whatever. But then, not long after that, you've got a new set of starting conditions, so the outcome's going to be different each time.
In terms of the crossing then, when we're starting tomorrow, which direction are you going to take?
Give us some tips, we're going to follow you.
Well, I'm not going to tell you. I have been looking. It's interesting, just before you came I started to look, and we've just been having a chat about which way we turn when we eventually get out of Plymouth Sound. I don't know how long that's going to take. If the wind's blowing from the south at 20 knots, how long do you think it's going to take us to get out of Plymouth?
Yeah, well, that'll be the first bit, won't it? But then, we were thinking of following you, actually.
Right.
With the advantage.
Yeah, I might be, if we're still in phone contact, ringing the our daughters and finding out where you are on the tracker. Just to know. Because I'll just watch your face and see if this is right. I was going to come out and hug the coast to make the most of that southerly that's there, to get enough west in as possible.
Yeah,
and then
before it goes west.
Before it goes,
yeah. So I think that would be a good plan.
So hi guys, this is just a test, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, we're practicing the man overboard procedure.
Okay.
And I'm the one with the wet bottom.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and I think we got you'd have you high enough there, then we get you in there. Don't fall that. Just step over,
Okay, brilliant.
and then hopefully you're out of the water.
Ellie is the youngest member of the ARC Portugal team. She's crewing for her dad, who used to be in the Royal Air Force.
Not with the hat, take the hat off. The hat's chubby.
But when it comes to the interview, she's the one in charge.
Have you done a passage like the Bay of Biscay before?
No, never. So this is going to be the longest one, I think, for all of us to sail across.
Oh well, okay. Looking forward to
it. Yeah, it should be really good. Just obviously the night sailing, I think we're all nervous about and cautious of, but it should be all right. Make it across.
And you're all right going with your parents?
Yeah. Suppose it's free.
I'm paying for the holiday.
Yeah. It's all right.
Excellent. Good answer.
Yeah.
There's something exciting about everyone setting out to the start line together. Here we are, bright and bushy-tailed, at 8 o'clock in the morning. It is a bit of a race. No one's taking it too seriously. I was looking forward to some better weather, while others dressed for the worst.
No, I know, look at them, look, yeah.
They're going to Scotland again. Are you going south this time?
Orkneys, here we come.
So we're waiting for the 10-minute buzzer. Then there's a 5-minute buzzer.
We can sail into here, in this bit of water here, no problem at all. It's all deep out here, even though they've got this massive hull for the huge warships. And then we'll set a line straight out there. I mean, I quite like to be close to the breakwater because we've got to make this bit of headland as well.
You've got to make the headland, yeah.
Bit of away touch. Just make sure it's really free. There's away.
It's really free. Just put some engine in.
No. That's it. Oh, that's there. So we're just coming out of Plymouth Sound now. The whole fleet's just trying to get around this headland, and you can see it's raining. Julie's got her teeth. The windscreen wipers on.
Oh wow, I think these Carl things will take a bit of getting used to. He spilled some tea all over himself. But when I'm on night duty, this is going to be my lifesaver. Hot drink.
Turn the wipers off. I suppose it's good really that it's raining because we're going somewhere warm. We wouldn't feel a bit cheated if it was lovely and warm in England and we were going somewhere.
That is such a good way of thinking about it.
Our Hans Christian is 26 tonnes, twice as heavy as any of the other boats. We like to say she's built for comfort rather than racing. But even Fair Isle struggled with the headwind, and we had to tack south sooner than we would have liked, before the wind turned and we had no option but to motor to get west. Then the waves got bigger and it was pretty choppy, and we weren't even in the Bay of Biscay yet. All this was in the English Channel.
Is that it?
A bit more.
As the sun went down, I was reminded of how beautiful the sea can be. But it did get cold.
Okay, on night watch, first night. It's midnight now, pitch black actually, there's no moon, it's cloudy anyway, there's no stars. And it's quite cold. I mean, I've got my ski jacket on here. At the moment in the middle of the English Channel, we've come from Plymouth. We're going to try and get down the edge of France here, all the way across the Bay of Biscay and into Spain. But for tonight, it's trying to make this traffic separation zone here. I'm going to go on the inside of it. A lot of ships in the English Channel coming backwards and forwards through here. It'll be daylight by the time we get there. I've plotted a line. It's 53 nautical miles to there. So midnight now. It'll be easily daylight by the time we get there. Originally I planned to come this side of it. That was my plotted route, but hey ho, let's lay plans. We lost sight of the other boats within the first few hours, really. A few of them pop up on AAS every now and again. At the moment, Bayona is keeping pace with us. It's the only one that I can see. At the moment, she's only 36 footage, doing very well. She's keeping pace with us. Quite heavy seas.
The next morning things did brighten up and both of us managed some sleep. One thing that got us both up on deck though was dolphins. The winds dropped, which is why you can see them so clearly, playing with us. And after they left, it was time for our own game of cards.
Should we be trimming the sails rather than playing cards?
I think maybe the serious racers are doing exactly that. Yeah.
I'll tell you what the serious racers did do last night, and that is they didn't put the engines on. I think a couple of them, looking at the line, well, obviously
I think everyone must have done for a bit that time when it was just a really strong headwind and a really heavy sea. I don't think anyone got through that. Or I'd be surprised. Maybe they did.
It would have been nice to have radio contact with the other crews, but pretty much from the start we have very little sight of them.
Just approaching our second night at sea. We're in Biscay now. Been a frustrating day really. The weather's been on the nose. 9 times out of 10 you'd come to do Biscay and you'd have a broad reach with a westerly all the way down. Not this week. It's been difficult actually getting in to Biscay as well. We expected to go outside the shipping lanes. That was the route I was going to take, and just because the weather didn't work out that way, so we went through inside between the land and the shipping lanes, about 9 miles offshore. Ile de Sante is the island that's just off there, and we managed with our wiry, which is a high gain aerial on the backstay there, to grab a little bit of phone signal, which was useful because it's given us a weather update, and it showed us where the other guys were as well. We got the tracker, because we've been out here all day and not seen a soul, and you sort of think, well, where are they all gone? Well, now we know they are out there somewhere. We might bump into one tonight, and before the sun goes down, the weather has told us that the wind might pick up a bit tonight, so we're going to put a reef in the main just to not to overpower the boat at night and settle in for the night. Brightest rainbow I've ever seen.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's just stunning. It's beautiful. Well, I don't know if you can see this, but it's raining outside. It's morning, about 8 o'clock on Tuesday morning. We were told there'd be a depression going through, and they're not kidding. It is absolutely pouring with rain. Pretty busy.
Just when you feel there must be better places to be, this happens. out again, but with it came a message. We'd managed to make radio contact with one of the other boats in the fleet, and they had some bad news.
Well, as you can hear, we're now motoring at full speed. That message, VHF message, was from Flight of Time, another boat on ARC Portugal, who's had an email through saying that there's an intense low pressure coming through Cape Finisterre, which is between us and Bayona, where we're trying to head for. So that's going to be a no-go for us, along with all the other lead boats. So we're going to run for cover into La Coruña. That seems like, looking at the pilot book, the best place, and I think that's what Flight of Time are going to do as well. So we're due to get there early hours of the morning.
Looking at the app, you can see all the boats crossing the English Channel, then dividing. 3 boats took shelter in France, the rest of us kept going. This is the point at which decisions had to be made. Some boats, including us, changed course to head for ports in Spain. Others also changed course to head west to avoid the worst of the storm. For all of us, the weather was bad and getting worse. Well, we made it to A Coruña. We got in at 8 o'clock this morning. We're both pretty knackered. The Bay of Biscay lived up to its horrible reputation as a very choppy sea. It was pretty choppy. The biggest concern, I think, is that there are 6 boats still out there. They're going to have to think about how they're going to bypass the worst of the storm, which is predicted to be at midnight tonight. We're planning to continue our journey at 11 o'clock tomorrow, but we'll see. We'll take a view on that in the morning.
Okay, so it's morning. The storm has gone through. It went through quite quickly. Obviously, it's going to have left a hell of a swell out there, but we're going to have to battle our way through that. Looking at the tracker for the guys that were left out there overnight, they've got themselves west and north to get away from the worst of the storm. One of the boats, Diablito, looks like it's lost its engine. In fact, we've had reports that there's a couple of boats that have, and Diablito's quite a small boat and is in the wrong position, so we hope that they're okay. I would imagine they're just hove to and batten down the hatches. They're going to just have to sit it out and be very uncomfortable, I think. We had quite a straightforward trip, really, in for us. We were lucky enough to be close enough to get in. In fact, we slowed the boat down towards the end. We didn't motor full pelt all the way because we decided we only had 35 knots of wind. It didn't seem to be getting that worse that quickly, so we waited for dawn to come in at light, because it's not somewhere we've been in before. And I just wanted to go through some of that navigation with you, because it shows the importance of a pilot book, because there is a section coming into A Coruña where there's some really shallow banks offshore, and although looking at the chart plotter, the bank is on there. It's Banco Yancentes. It's just north of the port, quite a big shallow bank, and it steepens out from 60 metres to 10 metres, so obviously there's enough to go through there. We only draw 2 metres, but that's not the point. It's the fact that it's going to build up that huge swell, and that's not obvious unless you know the area by just looking at a chart. So if you look at the Navionics chart here, it's auto routed us through straight over the middle of Banco Yancentes, because it knows it's not too shallow for us. It doesn't know the storm conditions. It's up to you to look at that, and obviously you should make your own routing decisions on that, but it's not obvious from this chart how you would get in. It's pretty obvious that shallow, it's going to be quite steep waves on that bit, and you might want to avoid it, but how? What's the best way through? Well, if you look at the pilot book, it's very clear. It's got in red, caution, the only safe approach in heavy swell or storm conditions is in the Punta Mera leading line south of Banco Yancentes. So it gives you a leading line. It tells you exactly how you get in. It means actually you've got to go right round to the west to come in from the west, and on a specific leading line, and that is the only safe way in. I mean, when we came in, the swell was huge. It was still dark at that point. It got light just as we got to the entrance, but if you wouldn't want to be coming in the wrong place. So I think that's just a good example of the usefulness of a good pilot book.
This is what the sea looks like the morning after the storm. The high winds have gone, but the swell is quite incredible. Well, we surfed in yesterday, and we're kind of surfing out again today. These waves are really enormous. But it looks sunnier back there in A Coruña, so we're leaving it
after the storm.
What we found out later is that Storm Miguel claimed the lives of 3 lifeboat crew in Les Sables in France. A shock for everyone and a reminder of how devastating the sea can be. It took 22 hours for us to round the corner and sail into Bayona, a lovely town and port. Diablito never did get the engine working, so had to be towed the last mile or so. They were all remarkably relaxed. Zafiro's crew, Ellie and Rob, had also been in the middle of the Biscay during the worst of the storm.
It was pretty bad. It's windy now, and it did pick up very much like this, and it just kept on getting more and more and more, and the swells got bigger and bigger. And then eventually the boat became for us uncontrollable, so that's when we decided to hove to, and it was quite a traumatic experience.
Like Dad said, it just went on and on and on, and it wasn't, I think it was 24 hours or something of just constant going over, waves crashing over the boat, and you sat there thinking, is the next wave going to be the one that's going to hit it just at the wrong point and really flip it?
Was there a time when you thought you might go over?
Yeah. Every now and again the waves would come in and you could feel them hit the hull of the boat, and the boat was obviously submerged and waiting for something. And so I was on the saloon floor kneeling and holding on. Ellie was holding on as well. It was interesting to say the least.
Has it put you off?
It did at the time. I must admit, in the morning, because it was first light we decided to go, and whilst we were going, thoughts were going, can I sell the boat? Can I leave the boat at the next place? Can I get it transported back? But now we've been here and the weather has been beautiful. The wind's picked up again, so now confidence is probably building again. But at the time, those thoughts were, what am I doing?
High Spirits was one of the last boats to make it to Portugal, after waiting for Storm Miguel to pass through France. It was a relief to all of us that everyone had arrived safely.
Well done, Peter and crew.
Good to see you. Still alive then?
Yep. Yeah, we know that you had the inside information and went the right way, waited for all the bad stuff to go.
So that's it, Peter's in, and I think that's all of us now.
It's all of us out of the Biscay, but Stephen on Agape's got some engine problems, so he's been left behind in the last port and will catch us up. We're sort of working our way down at the moment. You can see at the moment we're in Porto, and that's what we're going to be doing in the next episode.
So a bit more leisurely, a bit more eating octopus, which we did today, which was delicious.
Drinking port in Porto, you've got to do that.
And just finding our way down slowly down to Lagos. So thank you for watching. If you want to see the next episode first, press subscribe to make sure you're on our list.
And ring that little bell so that you get a notification of the next one that comes up, episode 3, hopefully in a week or so's time. Thank you for watching.